Available now from Arrow Home Video is an upgrade of something they had released about a year or so ago. This is the 4K UHD release of Wes Craven's infamous 1977 The Hills Have Eyes, with Michael Berryman and Dee Wallace and a bunch of other actors who are, fortunately or unfortunately for them, lesser known than Michael Berryman and Dee Wallace. We have here the sharpest, most colorful I've ever seen this film look. A lot of us first came to know this movie via home video in the 80s and 90s, and then it was, it was a VHS transfer. So it looked like it looked, but not a lot of detail and a little washed out and smeary. Later you had the DVD releases and you had Blu-ray releases. You had the Arrow Blu-ray release, which was definitive, but now we get the 4K release, which just, it gives you more sharpness, basically, than we've ever seen in The Hills Have Eyes, for better or worse. So I previously have reviewed the regular Blu-ray set of this, and I basically went through and I rewatched everything on this set too. I can't tell you without doing the research, who does research? Without doing the research whether the extras are carried over or not, so I'm going to speak to this as a set, as a standalone set. If you have the previous Arrow set, I believe most of the time when Arrow does their 4K UHD upgrades, they port over all of the extras, so it's a clone of the previous set. It's just that everything that can look better in 4K does. So what you have here is the movie. You have the full version of The Hills Have Eyes we've always known and loved, and it is sharper than ever, and the colors are, I think, better than I remember them seeing. But again, I'm not sure. I've seen a lot of these 4K UHD sets from Arrow where, to me, they look sharper. That's the basic difference. And if you think the Blu-ray on whatever system you have looks great, you might not see a huge difference with the 4K. I never can have the ability to do an A/B switch or anything like that, but I just know they look better than they did the last time. If you've never seen The Hills Have Eyes, I will tell you about it. Hills Have Eyes is about a typical American family, two couples, set of parents, and a dog. Now, one of the couples is man and wife, one of the couples is brother and sister. No hanky-panky, I'm just saying it's two pairs of, male females, three pairs of male females, shall we say, and dog or dogs. They have a tow along trailer. They're going across the American Southwest, and they run into car trouble, and they run into bigger trouble. They've crossed over into a former nuclear testing site, and the hills have eyes, as the title says. In the hills, the rocky, craggy hills, are a family of mutants. Michael Berryman being the most recognizable of them because he's on the poster and in a lot of the advertising. It's these weird, strange, inbred mountain people with looking like cavemen, more or less, who descend upon them because they're also cannibals, wouldn't you know? And so it's basically, again, who will survive and what will be left of them. It's a tagline that it's the gift that keeps on giving. That Texas Chainsaw Massacre tagline. It's appropriate to like every horror movie. And I need to cut down on that. So it is a survival story. Will this typical American family survive an onslaught of attacks by these cannibal, rugged mountain people or not? And ultimately, will they have to lower themselves to be as savage as those who are attacking them? So that's the movie. It's the same movie you've always seen, looking better than ever, but the extras are just insane on this. There are 3 audio commentaries, with one with a film scholar, one with Craven, and I think his producer, and one with the cast of the film. Those are ported over. Obviously, Wes Craven's no longer with us. Those are ported over from earlier releases. There is a making of, which features everybody, ported over from earlier release. I believe this is one of those cases where it basically carries over most of the extras that have been on previous editions, plus a boatload of new Arrow extras. It has the complete original first draft script that you click through on your remote. That's interesting. I started reading that. I didn't get too far into it. It opens with this crawl written by Craven. I have to imagine as a joke that it never would have been in a film, but the opening crawl says something like, after the success of Last House on the Left, Craven's previous film, he went crazy and was taken up into a UFO and was returned and wrote this movie. And the film, in the first draft, is set in a slightly future America where there have maybe climate change is off the scales, or there have been nuclear issues, shall we say, and it's sort of like a more martial law, not post-apocalyptic, but on the edge of that world, that this family is leaving New York, which is like almost like Escape from New York kind of New York. They're leaving New York to get out to the open road, and then the movie kind of plays out, from what I've seen in the script so far, it plays out like the movie you know. So that's kind of interesting to see. And I will refer to the sell sheet for some of the other extras, because there's so many. You have an alternate ending to the film, a different ending than we all know. You have outtakes. It's like 20 minutes of outtakes, and that can be bloopers, that can be alternate takes, that can be multiple takes, that can be things that are not in the final film, it can be raw footage. That it's also in excellent quality. You have an interview with the composer, you have trailers and TV spots, image gallery, interview with Martin Spear, the commentaries, you have a retrospective documentary, you have a limited edition 40-page booklet, you have postcards, you have a reversible, see, I didn't get any of this with the copy that I got. You get reversible fold-out poster, you have the screenplay, as I said, reversible sleeve, mono audio, you have the restoration and the UHD. It's insane. Now, probably a lot of you who are fans watching this, who are fans of Arrow and fans of The Hills Have Eyes, bought the previous Blu-ray edition that had most of the same stuff in it. And should you upgrade to the UHD or not? Well, do you want it to look sharper than it currently does? I have to say, if you think it looks fine as it is, you're probably fine with the previous Arrow edition, which is insanely good. It comes like in a box. But if you want that extra, if you're like me and you're a huge fan of certain movies, you do want to upgrade to this. Like certain movies I'm a fan of, I'm going to buy every time it comes out if it's going to be better or more goodies than the last time, because I just can't get enough of them. If you're like that for The Hills Have Eyes, then this might be the release for you. Out now on UHD 4K Blu-ray from Arrow Home Video is the now definitive release of 1977's original Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.